Oh gosh.
Wow, it goes time.
Good day, YouTube. Today is a Friday. I'm supposed to be at work, but we got a lot of snow in between Colorado Springs and Denver. So the interstate was closed. I tried to get out of here this morning. I heard that the interstate was closed, so I just came back, went back to sleep, called work, and it's a day off, a free day off. I've been getting a lot of questions lately on the topic of lieutenants in the military. So what I've done is I've created a listing of all those questions, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. For example, one of the questions that somebody asked me was, as a lieutenant, can you afford to live on your own, or do you have to get a roommate? The short answer is absolutely, you can live on your own if you want to. Most lieutenants do. Some of them say, hey, you know what, we're the same rank, let's save some money and pocket some of that money so you get your housing allowance and you have a roommate. So you save a lot of money that way. I didn't do that. When I was a lieutenant, I already had a family. You can technically, if you want to, you can buy a house as a lieutenant. Yes, you can do that. I wouldn't recommend that, even though that's what I did. And the reason I did, and then I'm not rationalizing because looking back, I probably would have done it different as well, is if you're going to be in the military for a long time, active duty, you are going to have to move. So it's a lot easier to buy a house than it is to sell a house. I wouldn't have done that going back. We bought this house in 2003 when this was our second duty station. When I commissioned, became an officer, we bought this house hoping to be here for 3 or 4 years, and we were here 2 years and 10 months. And next thing you know, we rented out the house, went to Hawaii, not knowing that about 4 years later, I was going to be force shaved, meaning I'd have to leave active duty. So we came right back to this house, to Colorado Springs, which is a great place to raise children. I got confused because my 16, 17-year-old dog is looking at me. Charlie. We got him here in 2003. 14 years ago. He was about 2 years old. He lived in Hawaii with us, and he's very old now. So yes, you can actually buy a house. I wouldn't recommend that. Just rent or have a roommate, because you're going to be there for a few years and you can move on. Another question is, what is the lifestyle for a lieutenant? What's it like besides work? Well, that's going to depend on the actual person. But at work, you're going to be learning a lot. You'll be working with your team. You'll be leading your team. And at the same time, your team will be leading you. There are clubs that you can join. One of them is the Company Grade Officers Council, CGO. At least in the Air Force, we do have that. And this is good because you're going to meet people who are similar to your rank, and most likely similar to your age as well. And you're going to do things on base, whether it's volunteer or off base or go out on a ski trip. Depending where you are, there's things that this club will do. It's an organization. There's a president, vice president, secretary, and maybe one more role. And most bases have them. So this is good. At the same time, it's good for you, for your record, to say, hey, I'm doing my job. I'm well-rounded. I'm going back to school, or I'll be going back to school, but I'm volunteering, or I'm doing this in the community. I'm taking a leadership position in this council. I did that for a while. I think I was a secretary or financial officer a long time ago. Actually, that's what it was, financial officer. And I did that for about 2 years. It was a good opportunity, met some good people. Other questions, how do promotions work for officers? I've already made a video on that, and up to captain, it's pretty much automatic every 2 years. So you'll go from second lieutenant to first lieutenant, 2 years, first lieutenant to captain, and then after that it changes. When you become a field grade officer, or in order for you to become a field grade officer, which is major through colonel, you're going to have to meet a board to get promoted. You're going to have your PME, Professional Military Education, completed as well. I would say it looks good if you win a quarterly award or something like that. When I was younger, I used to win those awards. Nowadays, my boss will ask, do you want to be submitted for a quarterly award? And the answer is no. I just want to do my job. And if I get promoted, I get promoted based on my record, not necessarily based on did I win an award or not. So, in addition to normal job description or job duties, what else do you have to do? Well, in the military, it's very common for all ranks, enlisted and officer, to have additional duties, and that's something that they're going to tag you with an additional duty. It has nothing to do with your job. For example, one of the additional duties that I used to have in the past was anti-terrorism force protection. I took that training, and I'd have to give briefings, or I would have to conduct random anti-terrorism measures every month with a team. And that's just to ensure that everything, that we're being watchful, and at the same time that I can answer any questions. Every unit has a team that does that. That's what I did. I also managed the government travel card program. So let's say in our office we have 6 people. 3 of them are going to have a government credit card so they can buy supplies or things that the office may need. My job was to manage that, which was good because I don't like to buy stuff. I'm not a good shopper. And I would make sure that everything that they were purchasing every month was documented, that it was an authorized purchase, things like that. I would do an inspection of their checklist binder once a year, and then at the same time I would get inspected and I would represent the team. Do officers get more of a say-so in where they're going? It's the same for lieutenants, for officers, for enlisted as well. You have a list of places that you say you want to go, and the Air Force tries to match that. For example, number 8 for me was Hawaii. That was number 8. My number 1, 2, 3 was Europe, Italy, Germany, places like that, and I got number 8. Now, as an officer or a young officer or even an older, experienced officer, let me tell you this. After a while, it's not location, where do you want to go? It's more, what is the job next for you? And that begins usually at a captain, at the grade of captain. It's not, do you want to go to Washington State? It's, what's the next best job for you? As a young officer, lieutenant, captain, you're going to be mentored. And the best thing that you can do is have a variety of jobs, but good jobs. Jobs that progress over time as opposed to location. Does working in the Air Force have better job security? Yes, for the most part, compared to the civilian world. And this is something from someone who was forced out, not because of what I did, but because the Air Force had a reduction in force in 2006. So that was, 10 and a half years ago? And what's interesting is other friends of mine also got forced out afterwards, whether it was 2007, 8, 9, 10. There was a few years, let's say 5 years or so, that the Air Force was really having reduction in forces, and that affected a lot of people. But for me, I was lucky enough to go into the reserve, and that was the best kept secret. Looking back, let me share something with you about the Air Force making a decision for me twice. The first one was in 2006, I had to leave. I didn't want to leave active duty, but they made me leave. I had no choice. Looking back, that was a great decision, and it benefited me in many ways, and I'm happy it happened. Even though I don't have a pension right now, and I'm over 20 years of service. And then recently, I wanted to continue in the AGR program for the reserve. I'm active duty right now for the reserve. And the Air Force said, if it's going to happen, you're going to have to move, or you're going to have to go somewhere else. Leave Colorado or find another job that's AGR. But I'm fine with going back to civil service because that's fine with me. I have a great career on the civilian side, and I either retire or continue next year in 2018. So the Air Force made a decision for me twice, and in the end, it's actually benefited me that they did that. Other questions, let's see. Lieutenants, I think that's all I have, but lieutenants are the young leaders, officers for the military, and they are trained to lead. And a smart lieutenant is going to depend on his or her team to make him or her better, to grow, to succeed with the team. It's a good opportunity if it happens to you or others, and it doesn't always happen, but it's a good option. Hopefully this has been helpful, and you have a great day.